The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best game of 2017. Niko Amii says so. Niko Amii says The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best game of the year. Yes, this shirt does say Niko Amii Breath of the Wild. That's how much I love this game. That's how much I was hyped. I made my own shirt and song. I never released the song, so this shirt really makes no sense. But isn't it kind of, it's really bad, but like I love it. This video, I am going to explain why Breath of the Wild is the best game of 2017. Straight from the heart, no cuts, no edits or anything. I'm just going to pour out straight from my Zelda-loving heart as to why I think The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best game of the year. And it is. It is. This game changes the landscape of not only Zelda, but RPGs in the video game franchise as of the world. Not just Zelda, not just Nintendo. This changes all of gaming history right here, just like Ocarina of Time did many, many years ago. This game is a Zelda game, and your Zelda-loving heart will beat to it, okay? You will feel things, you will relate to things, and you will understand things because you're a Zelda fan. But this changes the landscape of Zelda and RPGs and open world games because this is one of the only games ever where if you see something, you can climb it. And you can climb all the way to the top, fly all the way off, fly all the way off, all over the ground. Anything you see, you can interact with. I have never played a game like this before where every single thing I see, I can play with. No limits, not a single limit whatsoever. If I see a rock, not only can I hit that rock, but I can stun that rock. Hit the rock will then shoop. If I see a platform, I can pick it up with my magnesis, fling it around, or I can freeze it, hit it a bit, and then I'll fly over. If I see water, I can swim with it, or I can freeze it, or I can get a ship and swim with the fish, or I can get the ship and stay on the ship and ride with the ship. If I see clouds in the sky, well, Zelda better give me some wings because I better go to those clouds, okay? If I see a huge crater in the ground, I'm going to go to that crater. And there might be some monsters in there, but guess what? I can beat up those monsters, and then I can take their guts and then cook it over there by the fire. Anything you see in this game, you can interact with, you can play with, and there's so much depth. I've never had so much depth to a game before. Not only the story, which is one of the people's only complaints with this game, is that the story is kind of all over the place. I'm sorry, it's called an open world game where you get to go wherever you want. The story is kind of an afterthought because you, as corny and cheesy as it sounds, you make your own story in this game. You get your horse, you name your horse, you name your ownership, okay? You become your own character, you dress up Link, you get your own horse, you get your own equipment, you get your own armor, you get your own sword, you get your own bow, and you travel around. And honestly, you can play this game for about 200, 300 hours without even doing anything story related and feel like you've accomplished nothing but the same time that you've accomplished everything. I played for 60 hours before I did anything story related, and I did not regret a single minute. No, I had fun every single minute of those 60 hours, and now I'm finally getting to the story. The Nintendo Switch came out, what, like 8 months ago, and I'm finally getting to the story. And that might sound like a negative to you, but for me, that is the biggest positive that I've ever given a game anywhere. Because I didn't just play the game for a minute, put it away, and now I'm playing it. I played it consistently for those 8 months. And now I'm finally getting to the story, and I'm loving it so, so, so much. And I'm far into it now. I'm really far into it, and I've done a ton. But I'm just saying, I have spent now like about 100 hours in this game, and I am nowhere near getting bored. And I can safely say I had the best time of any video game, honestly, ever with it. This could potentially be my favorite game of all time, and I am not even close to being done with it. And I love Mario Odyssey very, very, very much, and I beat Mario Odyssey, the main story and everything. But this game, I am not even close to beating, and I can safely say this was the best gaming experience my whole entire year this year. There are so many great things about this game. The character design is perfect. All of the champions are amazing. I can't wait to get their amiibo for Christmas. I put it all on my list. All of the art of this game is fantastic. The game, for being on a Switch, like, looks like it could be on a PS4. It looks like it could be an Xbox One. It fit perfectly on it. The game looks perfect on the TV, but also runs amazingly on the handheld. I play this game constantly at night alone, like going doo-doo-doo. I take it on the go, I play it on the couch, anywhere I will play this game. It is the perfect game to pick up and play anytime. No matter what, whenever you're, not only just time-wise, wherever you are in the world, you can start playing it, but you always feel like you're doing something that betters you in Breath of the Wild. You always feel like if you beat that monster, that's food. That's food for a while. Or if you go over there and you try to hack down some monsters that look very vicious in like a skull-shaped house, you're going to get a weapon out of there because there must be a chest in there. Or, at the very least, you're going to explore a new area you've never seen before, even though you've played this game for countless amount of hours. There are still new places I've never seen before, and they're all so beautiful. There's luscious jungles and snow places and deserts, and it's not just one desert. It's not just the game's stereotypical, like, or not stereotypical, like their token grass world, you know, like, it's not like, oh, there's the sea, there's the forest, there's the snow world, there's the fire world. There are many deserts, there are many canyons, there are many grasslands, there are many lakes, there are many of everything, and they all are unique, and it feels like you're not even walking in circles either, because the game is so large that you're constantly refreshed with new things you've never seen before, and the amount of story I've experienced has been really interesting. I really get into it, and you know, you just stand there, and then all of a sudden, the moon starts to turn bloody orange and bloody red, and you're like, what's going on? And it's just also scary, and monsters start to come out. You walk, and you see this magician guy throwing meteors, okay? All of a sudden, meteors are coming out of his arm, and you're like, what the heck? And you try to beat the magician, and now you have that same meteor summoning wand, and it's so cool. You go in this little hut, okay? You start talking to one of the people from the one with all the girls. I'm drawing a blank now, but you know which one I'm talking about. You go down and you're put on a little mission, like a little side quest. You're like, oh, you feel so cool, and you go in this little canyon. And you're in this like clan base hidden underground that you would have never seen unless you were put in the side quest, because it is so well hidden. And you're there and you're like, and all of a sudden, you pick up, this is one of the smartest pieces of the game I've ever played, of any game ever. You're like, okay, I'm in this little hole now, and there's blanket type, there's curtains blocking off things, and I don't really know what's going on here, but there's a torch on the floor. Okay, I'll pick up the torch. Okay, there's little shrines that have little fires coming out of it. What if I put my torch on fire? Okay, now if I go to that curtain and put my torch to the curtain sets on fire. And the second you turn to the curtain starts bursting in flames, and it unveils a hidden base full of ninjas. And we're just like, what? So smart. Everything interacts with each other so beautifully. Or another thing, you go off and you walk to this little village, right? And all of a sudden this girl is like, these are my flowers. If you step on them, I will hit you. And she starts beating you up for stepping on your flowers. And like, what the heck? There's so many fun characters and quirky characters that have purpose in the world. You'll walk in, there's people with like big things on their back selling stuff. And you're like, oh, I want to buy some arrows. And it just, the whole thing feels like one big like world. Like, this is the game that most feels like a new world to me. This game feels like a real thought out world. And I really, really, really love it, because it is pretty like post-apocalyptic, so there's not really many people or towns there, but what's there is there, and it's great. And there are so many things that are just beautiful about this game. You walk a while, and like there's this one really, really cool fortress that I was at for like an hour, and it was just like a little sand dune that turned into like this little mountain in the wall, and there were these huge monsters going in circles scouting around, and in the middle was this beautiful sword, and there's mud surrounding it, so you really had to like fly in your paraglider to get to that point. And it was just so much. There's so many beautiful moments in this game that are so simple yet so amazing, and it just crushes on any other gaming experience I've ever had in an open world game before. And it just feels like this game is my game. I feel such a connection with it. And everything I touch, I feel like is a new experience, and everything feels so new and fresh to me every time I turn on the game. And there's so many new things to get, and new weapons and armor, and there's still so much more story for me to explore. I'm just gonna, the more I play this game, the more I love it. And as of right now, it's already my favorite game of the year, and probably end up gonna be my favorite game of all time. It's already up there, and I'm not even done with it yet. So. And then the way you get like these special powers by these champions, and they're so cool and so unique, and it just all feels like they're these guardian angels looking over you, and it feels so like, feel this connection. And you go into the castle, and you go into Zelda's room, and you read through her diary, and it just like, there's so much detail to this game, like, and there's all the guardians that circle around, and they're so intimidating at first, but there's no. Listen to this. There is no rank up system in this game. There is no things that enchant your weapons and you level up and get more power as the game progresses. No, this whole entire game, you are upgrading yourself by yourself with no help from the game. You are constantly upgrading your armor just based on who you're beating and what you're receiving from beating those things. And the same person who has played 100 hours will not be anywhere similar to where the person next to you was playing for 100 hours. And that person could have spent 1 hour going to the hardest place in the game and being really good, beating a big boss, and then getting a really scary monster and getting one of the best swords in the game in 1 hour. And that person next to him played for 100 hours and is still in like the grasslands and has a tree branch for a sword. There are so many different ways you can interpret this game, so many different tactics, not even just tactics on how to survive with food, but there's also tactics on fighting monsters, and it's all so smart. And you know, there's the shrines, and the only thing I would change about this game is add like different kingdoms, or like, I don't know, like I would love a full out kingdom, but I like the shrines. But they're my only complaint about this game. My only complaint is the shrines. I do think the shrines are cool, but they do get a little repetitive and a little annoying, a little too confusing, where you kind of like have to resort to like a walkthrough book a lot of times, or like online. And I like the shrines. It's just, I wish we had more like kingdoms, worlds, like, you know, I like it, but I would like some traditional like Zelda like sectors to go into to experience, you know. But it's still great, and I love it. And the thing I like about not having them and not having sectored off kingdoms and worlds to go to is that every place you go to kind of feels like its own little kingdom. Like you go to a canyon, it feels like a canyon kingdom without actually being a canyon kingdom. And it feels so, I feel like if they would have added all of those different kingdoms and places, that I feel like it would have made it very, 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 very more, it would make it less open worldy and more like linear. So I understand why they didn't do it though. So there are a lot of things to enjoy about this game, more than I think I've ever enjoyed any game before. You can cook. You can make this a whole cooking simulator and just make like food the whole entire time, pretend you're a chef. You can do what I do and make Link dress up as a girl, and the only time you dress out of being a girl is when you have to put up the pants so you can go all the way up the waterfall, okay? The whole time I've had Link in drag, and I love it. It's so much fun. And there's so many just fun, unique things to do in this game, and it just feels like the action RPG open world adventure that I've wanted my whole entire life. It feels like I'm in a new world, and I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. It's the most free form, most open game I've ever played, and it's such an adventure. And it is my game of the year. But 1 second. What about Mario Odyssey though? Mario Odyssey is really good. I will unveil my true game of the year, because I made a video talking about why I think Mario Odyssey is the game of the year. So you can click right here to watch my Mario Odyssey video, or you can wait. So you can click right here. Click right here to watch my Super Mario Odyssey is the game of the year video. I talk about why Mario Odyssey is my favorite game of the year, but I just talked about Zelda. Which one is it? On December 27th, you can join me here on Niko Amii, where I'm going to unveil Niko Amii's Game of the Year awards, where I'm going to talk about what my actual Game of the Year is, because I think both these games, Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, are the perfect games, and it's so unfair to put one of the other, but I will have to. But for right now, both of them are my Game of the Year. Both of them are my top 5 favorite games of all time. And I think they're both perfect 10 out of 10 games. So it's very hard to pick when I think both of them deserve the Game of the Year title. But which one actually is my Game of the Year? Join me on December 27th. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.